There was a teaching once so dangerous to the powers that oversee visible things that it was hidden away, and yet it left subtle signs inside the human body itself. According to discoveries among the Nag Hammadi manuscripts, and in a line attributed in the Gospel of Philip, some traditions say that certain seekers carry somatic markers, physical traces that point back to an original source, to perception, to an inner authority. I invite you, in the next several minutes you can test with your own hands, with your breath, and with attentive presence. This is not about proving anyone else right or wrong. This is training your physical eyes, the attention of your body, to notice what it already knows. First, a quick historical orientation, because context matters. The Nag Hammadi Library is a collection of early texts found in Egypt in the mid-20th century that contain teachings and symbols outside the later, institutionalized canon. When I reference the Gospel of Philip or other texts from that collection, I do so as historical sources that influenced certain streams of Christian esoteric thought, not as canonical scripture for everyone. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't. Our work here is practical. How to sharpen sensing and somatic discernment. Now, a compact cosmological frame to hold our practice. In some of these traditions, the universe begins from a singular source, the monad, and reality then unfolds in layers. At one level, a creator-architect fashions the visible realm. At another layer, there are frequencies or intelligences that obscure direct perception. Some texts call those obscuring forces archons. You can hear these words literally or metaphorically. For our purpose, think of archons as any pattern, internal or external, that diverts your attention away from direct knowing. Habitual thought loops, anxious narratives, cultural conditioning. The body, however, tends to preserve memory in a way thought cannot easily rewrite. That is why we train the body's attention. We are training the physical eyes, subtle sensory focus, to detect signals that the mind tends to miss. Before we begin, a safety note you must honor. If you have a neck, spine, chest, or cardiac condition, if you are pregnant, or if touching these areas causes pain, please do not perform the tactile checks. Instead, perform the observation exercises silently with your awareness and breath. Never press where it hurts. Keep contact light and respectful. These practices are about attunement, not manipulation. There are no guarantees of any particular feeling. Absence of sensation is normal and does not mean anything about your value or spiritual status. Settle now into a comfortable, upright position. Soften your shoulders. Allow your hands to rest gently on your lap. Breathe in through the nose, slowly. Exhale through the mouth, letting any tension dissolve. Do this twice more. Inhale, a gentle filling, and exhale, a loose release. With that breath, allow curiosity to replace expectation. We are not demanding a spectacle. We are opening to whatever the body offers. Begin with the first checkpoint, the base of the skull. Bring one hand up to the nape of your neck, where the skull meets the spine. Use the pads of your fingers. Keep pressure light. Trace a slow, horizontal line across the hairline, feeling the transition of bone to muscle to skin. Notice texture, any small hollows, any change in temperature under your fingertips. If you prefer not to touch, simply place your attention there and notice what arises in that area. Warmth, coolness, a sense of density, or a subtle release. Stay with this point long enough to register something, even a subtle change of quality in the breath or in your inner landscape. Do not judge anything you notice. If an image, memory, or emotion surfaces, treat it like weather passing by. Observe it, and then return your attention to the site at the base of the skull. When you finish here, keep a question softly in the background. Is there a sense of origin here? Not a concept, but a felt quality, a root, a starting place. If you felt something at all, that may be your first clue. If you felt nothing, that is equally informative. Both are valid. Move to the second checkpoint, the lateral side of your dominant hand. Turn your hand so the small finger side faces you. Focus on the area between the base of the little finger and the wrist along the outer edge. With your opposite hand, trace a gentle line there from the base of the pinky toward the wrist. Notice any ridge, indentation, warmth, or a different texture against the surrounding skin. Again, keep your touch light and curious. If touching feels inappropriate for any reason, simply place your attention along that outer edge and imagine tracing the line as you breathe. Pay attention to any subtle signaling, a faint vibration, a small tingling, an ease or contraction in the hand or forearm. Ask quietly, is there a point here that aligns with perception? Is there a sign of sensitivity toward detecting unseen things? Notice without forcing an interpretation. As you explore this second point, be aware of the mind's commentary. It may rush in with practical objections. You're imagining this, or it's just the nervous system, or this is nonsense. That voice is expected. Label it if you need to, thinking or doubt, and gently return your attention to the sensation under your fingers. This is not a battle. It's a training in reorienting attention from narrative to sensation. Now the third checkpoint, the center of the upper chest, just above the sternum but not directly over the heart. Rest 2 fingers lightly at the hollow at the top of the breastbone, the area between the collarbones. Do not press hard. A feather-light contact is enough. Feel for warmth, expansion, a subtle vibration, or an emotional quality that emerges. Some people report a sense of openness, ease, or a spreading warmth. Others notice nothing at all or feel a mild resistance. All responses are normal. If direct touch is contraindicated, simply bring your attention there and allow the breath to move into that space, noticing any change. As you rest at this point, ask, is there a feeling of command or center? Not dominating others, but an interior authority, a place from which you can respond rather than react. Notice whatever arises without amplifying it with story. Let your breath be the anchor. If at any moment you feel discomfort, dizziness, sharp pain, or anxiety escalating, withdraw your hand, breathe, and quietly rest. There is no benefit in pushing beyond comfort. If you have a medical condition, please consult a professional before attempting tactile practices again. If you've followed those 3 checkpoints, base of skull, lateral hand, upper sternum, take a moment to integrate. Close your eyes if that helps. Breathe in, gathering the impressions you discovered. Breathe out, letting conclusions soften. There is no right or wrong here. There is only data for your own remembering. If anything in that sequence resonated with you, if you noticed a shift even as small as a whisper, type the single word recognition into the comments right now. If you felt nothing, you can still type recognition to show solidarity with the practice. Remember, absence of sensation is not disqualification. Your comment is a tiny public map of private attunement and helps build a community that learns together. Expect a stream of thoughts after exercises like these. You may hear skepticism arrive as a loud, insistent voice. In the framework we're using, such interruption is sometimes described as archonic interference, patterns that distract or distractively narrate. Whether you take that language literally or metaphorically, the practical technique is the same. Notice the thought, name it if you wish, and return your attention to the body. Do this as you would redirect a curious child, not with harshness, but with firm, calm re-guidance. Each time you recenter, you strengthen the habit of sensory noticing over reactive believing. A simple witnessing technique. When a thought or doubt arises, briefly name it aloud or mentally. Thought, doubt, fear. Then place your attention back on the point you are checking. Anchor with a single, slow breath. Repeat this 3 times if needed. This trains your nervous system to tolerate mental interference without losing contact with the felt sense. Now we will put the 3 checkpoints into a soft activation sequence. Remember the safety cautions. Keep pressure minimal. If touching causes pain or dizziness, stop and continue with inward attention only. If you are concerned about your health in any way, skip tactile contact and use visualization and breath. Begin by placing the pads of your fingers at the base of the skull. Rest there with gentle curiosity, allowing one steady breath to pass. Move your hand to the outer edge of the dominant hand, tracing that line with slow attention. Finally, bring 2 fingers to the upper center of the chest, resting lightly and allowing the breath to expand into that space. You can repeat this circuit once more, moving slowly, giving equal time to each point. Stay with each location long enough to notice a change in texture, temperature, vibration, or felt ease. There is no fixed timing. Stay until you feel drawn to move on. Throughout, remain non-judgmental. After this tactile sequence, many people choose to speak a short declaration as a way to align intention and attention. Declarations are tools of focus, not magical commands. If you elect to speak, say these words in the first person, slowly and with presence. I recognize my origin. I activate my perception. I declare my command. If speaking aloud feels uncomfortable, repeat the phrase silently to yourself, allowing the words to resonate with the sensations you felt. Let these words be an anchor, not a guarantee. If thoughts of doubt or ridicule rush in while you speak, notice them and return to your breath. The declaration is not a proof to others. It is a small, intentional act to unite your attention and body. What might you experience? Answers vary widely. Some people report a subtle warmth, a mild release, a tightening that then softens, or a sudden clarity in thought. Others might feel nothing at all, or they might be met with emotional material, memories, sadness, relief, which are valid parts of the process. Do not treat any one response as definitive evidence of status or spiritual rank. Treat the sensations as signposts for further inner inquiry. Over time, as you practice, subtle sensations may become easier to notice. That is the training of the physical eye. There will be moments of resistance. Cultural skepticism, intellectual pride, and the habit of explaining away sensations with neat rationalizations can all block refinement. When that resistance appears, respond like a patient tutor. Notice it, label it, return to the body without disdain. The aim here is not to win an argument in your head, but to cultivate an embodied capacity to sense. Make this practice manageable and sustainable. Integrate tiny micro-checks into daily rhythms. For example, while waiting for coffee, touch the base of your skull and take a breath. While closing your hand around the car's steering wheel, rest your thumb along the lateral edge and notice. Before a meeting, place 2 fingers on the chest center and see whether you can create a fraction of stillness. These brief acts of attention are the repetitions that train the muscular system of awareness. Pair the somatic checks with a short journaling habit. After practice, note anything that shifted, sensations, images, feelings, or even notable silence. Over weeks, you will build a personal log that shows patterns and developments. This practice is less about dramatic revelation and more about careful habit formation. Community matters too. If you share this work with others, do so with humility. Never use another person's sensations to judge them or to validate yourself. Encourage mutual respect. What one person experiences is their private map, not a public measurement of worth. If someone reports a strong reaction, offer compassion and suggest they move slowly, perhaps consulting a trusted practitioner if the reaction is intense. We should also touch briefly on discernment. Training your physical eyes helps you notice subtler tones in your life. When a conversation feels aligned, when a decision brings ease instead of agitation, when a relationship resonates with depth. Use these signals as one input among many. Combine embodied sensing with reason, counsel, and moral consideration. Do not permit immediate sensation to override ethical clarity or common sense. If this teaching resonates and you want to go deeper with activation work, sensory refinement, and safe embodiments of these practices, subscribe so we can release a sequence of guided trainings that build on what you started today. I'll be offering more exercises that develop steady attention, quiet the consuming inner chatter, and refine discernment, always with safety and ethical care. Before we close, I want to offer a brief, optional prayer of alignment. If you pray, speak these words to the divine in your own language, or hold them silently as intention. This is not a claim of power over others. It is an offering of receptivity. Lord, Maker beyond names, ground us in the memory that precedes our forgetting. Help us to attend with clean hands and calm hearts. Teach us to distinguish noise from signal, and give us the courage to remain present when the mind protests. May our bodies become faithful maps of truth, and may we use what we rediscover with humility and love. Amen. Walk away from this practice with gentleness. The purpose is not to produce a dramatic spiritual event on demand, but to cultivate a posture of remembering, an embodied curiosity that recognizes inner signatures over time. Whether your first attempts are quiet or striking, continue with patience. The physical eye is a muscle. It grows stronger from steady attention. If you felt anything at all, or even if this simply stirred a question, type recognition in the comments to join a quietly held map of seekers taking these steps. Tell us one sentence about what you noticed, if you wish, and keep your story personal rather than comparing outcomes. Train your attention like you would train any other skill. Little repetitions, safe boundaries, compassionate witness, and consistent journaling will slowly sharpen your capacity to perceive deeper layers of reality without needing to rely exclusively on doctrine or external authorities. This is about reclaiming an inner litmus test, a way to verify for yourself, in the flesh and breath, that something is shifting. If you want to follow the activation series and receive more guided, practice-based trainings that develop sensory acuity and somatic discernment, subscribe now and turn on notifications. We will move step by step, always prioritizing safety, integration, and ethical grounding. Go slowly when you leave this video. Drink water, move your shoulders, and resume your day with curiosity rather than urgency. If you practiced and something profound arose, take time to process it in solitude or with a trusted companion. If nothing happened, keep practicing without shame. Remember, recognition is not granted on a timetable. It is cultivated by attention. May your hands learn to see. May your breath be your teacher, and may your body become a clear instrument of inner knowing. We will continue this work together.